All right, we're actually going ahead and get started. If I can just ask everyone to please remain on mute so that we don't have any distractions. But please feel free to drop any questions that you may have throughout the talk within the chat, and we'll try to get to them as quick as we can. Sigourney, you want to go ahead and get us started off?
Sure. So welcome to our open forum here at Black in Cancer for World Cancer Day. We are honestly so delighted that you would take the time to come and hear about Black in Cancer, about our journey, and about everything that we have ahead of us. We're so excited to share this space with you. And yeah, just really looking forward to the chat and feeling like there is a family environment here. Pitch in, ask questions, and we're just going to make this a really fun session.
So what we wanted to do is kind of, when we were thinking about the forum and who we are as an organization, we started 2 years ago almost. And a lot of people see our faces, but they don't really know a little bit about us. So what me and Sigourney are going to do is kind of just give you a little brief background, kind of give you the early beginnings of Black in Cancer, how it started. And then we'll give you some things about what's going on right now and what we plan to do in the future, and our outlook for Black in Cancer from this year and beyond. And so just a little bit of background about myself. I'm a PhD by training. I completed my PhD at Tuskegee University in integrative biosciences. And then I did my postdoctoral work at Vanderbilt. And now I am in industry as a medical science liaison in the oncology space. And I'll let Sigourney kind of give you a little bit about her background.
Sure. So I did my undergraduate in human physiology at the University of Leeds, all the way in rainy England. And then went on to work for Pfizer and AstraZeneca for 4.5 years in their neuroscience and pain departments. But then I moved into oncology. And then after that, started my PhD in October of 2019 in developing novel models and therapeutics for a rare type of children's brain tumor. And yeah, just then continued this journey and started Black in Cancer alongside Henry in the summer of 2020.
Yeah, and I'll pick up from there and how we came into formation, how we got things started. In the summer of 2020, it was a lot going on, from racial tension to the George Floyd situation. It was a lot going on. I think the first Black End was Black End. What was, I think it was Wildlife or like Black Birders Week. It was Black Birders Week. And from there, a lot of the other Black Ends like Black in Neuro and Black in Physiology start popping up. But one of the things that rang with me, and me and Sigourney didn't know each other at the time, is that we rarely see people who look like us within labs specifically. And so I reached out to Sigourney to kind of, because she had this same issue, especially in the UK, where there's not a lot of Black representation within cancer research. And so we initially wanted to create an organization full of Black cancer researchers, right? So not thinking about the medicine, not thinking about the advocacy part. But when we thought about it a little bit harder, when we think about cancer, it's an entire family, right? You have the patient advocates, you have physicians who are actually treating the patients, and you have cancer researchers who are on the ground creating and finding these amazing discoveries. And so from there, we dropped the researcher part and just simply named it Black in Cancer, because cancer in itself is heterogeneous. And so the workforce is heterogeneous as well. So many different facets that make up the field. And we wanted to make sure that we represent everyone that was in each corner helping us fight this disease. And so in the United States, it looks a little different. But in the UK, I can let Sigourney kind of give you her experience as a Black cancer researcher in an entire different country.
Absolutely. So the space of Black cancer researchers, at least within the UK, is very sparse. And it's something that we've been struggling with for quite a long time. As thinking about my background and the pharmaceutical companies that I've worked for, etc., the different academic institutions I've been in, actually, I had never met a Black woman with a PhD until I'd started my own. And having been in different parts of the country, lots of different experiences, that's actually a really shocking statistic. The fact that I'd never met anybody who'd been beyond where I currently was. So it was important to build that community, to find those other people out there who were doing what I was doing, that we could have conversations with, that we could really start to understand how we could progress but also have people to aspire to. Part of what we do at Black in Cancer is to give that visibility piece. I didn't have that. Henry will probably communicate that he didn't really have that either. But to have that visibility and to understand where you can go and where you're able to go is such a huge part of our journey. And sometimes that isn't even conscious. We don't realize how much visibility and representation is important until we can reflect and be like, actually, I think I did this because I had somebody who looked like me in this space. And that's just something that's really important and something that we've really tried to push as we've moved the organization forward.
Exactly. I think it's important to say that me and Sigourney, I was chosen or pushed to do this. We originally just kind of was tweeting on Twitter, and someone mentioned our names about starting it together. And as I was a postdoc at the time, and Sigourney was a graduate student, so you can imagine how daunting it was to secure a committee, put on a virtual week. But we felt the pressure. And so me and Sigourney still have never met. I think we're meeting for the first time in April. But we did all this virtually. Yeah, fingers crossed that coronavirus stays intact. But what we wanted to do was come together, represent two different countries, two different areas of focus, and we're able to do that all virtually. So I like to say that the pandemic was kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, because we're able to touch and see and work with so many people across different countries and time zones. But it also kept us apart from seeing each other in person, but hopefully that's going away pretty soon. And so our first thing that we wanted to do was have a meeting and find other like-minded people who wanted to achieve the same mission as we did. And so that's leading us into the first Black in Cancer Week, which was in October of 2020. We had an awesome committee. Our committee consisted of people who were in the postdocs, people who are in government and within industry, undergraduate students, as well as graduate students. And so we're covering, the entire spectrum of a cancer trainee. And so we like to make sure that we represent everyone, because we understand that within cancer, we're not just in academia, and we're within industry as well. I think it's really important to understand that Black in Cancer wants to shine light on all these careers and all the things that you can do within the cancer space. And so after we've set up our committee, we had to get money. We had to get money to pay our speakers. And it's really important for Black in Cancer to pay Black speakers for their time. And that's something that we want to see. That's a big trend now, and want to continue that, because our words and our time is valuable. So being able to pay people to come in to get their expertise and their experiences within the cancer space, I think is really, really important. I think one of the biggest challenges for us during Black in Cancer Week was the organization all virtual, and having many different parts, and also me not being a leader by birth. I think I was kind of pushed into this. I'm kind of a team player. You give me a task and I do it. But I was pushed into a leadership position. I like to say that fate pushed me into the leadership role. And so being able to develop my leadership skills and lead an entire team along with Sigourney to pull off an entire virtual conference within something that we love to do, which is cancer, or research cancer, I think was really, really great. And I'll let Sigourney talking about how we went from getting our committee, getting the funds raised, organizing it, and actually putting on the week.
Yeah, so it was definitely a challenge, and particularly being the only Brit on the committee, the time difference thing was a real challenge. So, I mean, if you look back, everything was based on US time, and I was just up ridiculously late. So a huge shout out to my partner who put up with me with all these late nights and early starts and everything else. But actually, it was really fantastic to bring together the team, and they were so driven in terms of thinking about where were the gaps in the knowledge, not only for the research community, but also for the general community, and how could we use the expertise that we had and the connections that we had to fill those gaps. So whether that was understanding how to get onto a PhD program, what it entails, what that journey might look like, and what are the careers at the other end of it, and having those talks around the beginning, but also thinking about the community and thinking about myths. We know that as Black cancer researchers in particular, we face a lot of questions when it comes to understanding cancer. I'm sure if any of you are in cancer research on the call, that you've definitely had the question, oh, don't microwaves cause cancer? Doesn't cannabis cure cancer? Cancer isn't a real thing, or the cure for cancer is already out there, the government are just hiding it. So what we wanted to do was to be able to really speak to those questions and answer them in ways that were respectful. They didn't ridicule people. They didn't make them feel uncomfortable to ask anything that they wanted to ask, because it's really important that people feel that they are valued and that their opinions are valued. But what we can do is use the knowledge that we have, that we've built over several years throughout our committee in a range of different cancer types, to be able to really speak to those questions. So that was something that was really important to us. And we just really figured out how we wanted to do that amongst all the days, but also think about how we can take care of ourselves as researchers, but also as a community. So thinking about self-care, how can we understand what our risks of cancer are and how we can start to reduce those as best we can. So a lot of that was building the vision for the week and how we wanted it to go. But the committee went above and beyond in reaching out to everybody that they possibly could, people that we never thought that we would ever get to speak for us, who are now doing incredible things. And knowing that they were so invested in being a part of our organization in the first Black and Cancer Week, when nobody had heard of us, we didn't have any investment, we didn't have these big ticket sponsors. We were just a group of people who had met mainly virtually, who just had a passion for bringing just information to the community, but also thinking about how we could help people to advocate for themselves in the clinic, because that's something else that's really, really important to us.
Yeah, and I guess the next thing was after Black and Cancer Week, me and Sigourney wanted to stop. Like, that was it, right? Because we were so overwhelmed with that. It was amazing. But as you can imagine, as postdoctoral fellow and a graduate student, and everyone else on the committee, it was a lot to do. But we like to say that the people wanted more. And so, fate pushed us into a bigger leadership role, which was creating the actual organization and not just a once a year, a week event. And so creating an organization is a lot. And so we had a lot of opportunities, like the Nature Community blog, where we're able to kind of talk about each day of Black and Cancer Week. An entire Forbes article, which my mom has framed on the refrigerator. So I'm kind of like a celebrity in the family. An AACR Cancer Discovery article, as well as a molecular cell article. So all of these people who are behind us, these organizations that we look up to, especially as scientists we want to publish with, who are pushing us to do this amazing work. And so the people wanted more, so we had to kind of give them what they wanted, right? But when we think about forming an organization, this isn't an easy task. Do we want a nonprofit? We had to come up with a vision statement, bylaws. These a lot of like working and moving parts that the normal person who doesn't want to be an entrepreneur or doesn't want to run a nonprofit, that we have to think about. And so we're kind of learning as we're going. But I think it's really great because I have an awesome team and a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds who are able to give us the tools and give us some insight and advice. And we have an amazing external network of mentors who are able to help us as well. And so one of the biggest things in forming an organization, I think we've all heard of this phrase, is imposter syndrome. Like, how can we do this? How can, we get this off the ground? How can we make an impact? Not thinking about, we had, I think, over 1 million impressions from Twitter during the first Black and Cancer Week. We just did that. We got tons of funding. We brought on some amazing speakers, but we're still thinking, I don't think we can pull this off. And so imposter syndrome, it gives us, the blues all the time in our, academic careers, in our professional careers. It's a really big thing that we have to kind of surround ourselves with other people who have similar interests, so that we can understand that we are put in this spot and in this place to succeed. And so fighting imposter syndrome was a big task for us within the first year, and it still is. It still is, honestly, and I'll explain more about that as we get on to like what's the future for Black and Cancer. And so following all the imposter syndrome and the call to leadership, the following year, we had the pressure on us to do bigger and better for 2021. And so the first event that we had was for World Cancer Day, which is this day for last year. And so that was our first event for of 2021, but we also had to get our programs off the ground. And so I think Sigourney mentioned earlier that we have two pillars within our organization. Number one is mentorship and education, getting more people who look like us within the space and into the workforce, as well as community education, specifically cancer awareness. And I'll give Sigourney the floor to talk about our mentorship program, and I'll follow up by talking about our cancer awareness program.
So yeah, as Henry mentioned, we built these two kind of initiatives really to tackle the two main issues that we saw within the Black cancer research community. So one being the Black in Cancer Pipeline Program, which is run incredibly by our three directors of mentorship and outreach. So shout out to them because I know they're on the call. Very proud of you all. But they have done the most incredible job of building a mentorship program for 9 months for 15 UK and 15 US students to be able to be mentored by either PhDs, postdocs, or those in industry or PIs who are then able to coach them and to guide them within their careers, answer all the questions that they might need answering, and just to be a general space for advice, but also to build in places for them to attend additional seminars and learn about whether that's networking, using social media to your advantage, shout out to Chris, and a number of other things. But then additionally, them having this 8-week lab placement at the end, because we know that opportunities for whether that's PhD that you want to do after an undergraduate degree or beyond, whether that's working in industry, experience is such a key thing, and you don't often get it or enough of it during undergraduate degrees. You need to be going the extra mile. But unfortunately, within our community, it can sometimes be a challenge, whether that's for a number of reasons, whether that's just because of finances, in not being able to take unpaid internships over the summer, whether that's just not being selected. We know that implicit biases exist. We know that sometimes there are challenges when it comes to grading disparities between Black students and students from other backgrounds, particularly within the UK, but possibly also within the US. So thinking about all of that and how that plays into what the future of those who want to be Black cancer researchers looks like, because maybe they haven't had the opportunities that those from other backgrounds have had. So what we've done is to work to build a program where people do get that advice, they do get that insider knowledge, and that they're able to then get that experience that is incredible on their CV to then move forward and to be able to do whatever they want to do within this space. So that's been really, really brilliant work that's been happening over the last year. And I literally cannot shout out the mentorship team enough for all of the incredible hard work that they're doing.
Perfect. And I'll kind of hop on, our community awareness for cancer, our initiative that we're doing within our organization. And so we like to call this program CAP, C-A-P, the Cancer Awareness Project. And one of the things as researchers and scientists and physicians, our families think we know everything. They think we know everything from the vaccine to cancer to volcanic eruptions. Just because we have scientists in front of our name or doctor in front of our names, our family come to us because they have a sense of community and trust. And so one of the things we wanted to do was educate our own community about cancer in general. What is it, right? What are some questions I need to ask my provider when I go to the doctor and a loved one is diagnosed, or if I'm diagnosed, right? And so understanding that we have all this knowledge. And my granddad always says, you didn't go to school, to get all that knowledge for nothing. So you have to be able to give back. And this is our way of giving back the knowledge that we've gained over years of training and years in school to our community who needs it the most to make informed decisions. And so our very first event was during Black and Cancer Week, but for 2020, but for 2021, we were able to participate in the FDA's Black Family Cancer Awareness Week. It was the first one. So we had a really wonderful talk, and we like to kind of specify on certain cancers that affect our community the most. albeit all cancer affect our community the most, but there are some that are really prevalent within our communities, like prostate, breast, lung, pancreatic. And so we like to kind of bring in qualified professionals, be it nurses, physicians, MD, PhDs, who can give our community the tools that they need to make these informed decisions and to kind of break down science. We talk so highly, we can communicate, like a Nature article between us really, really easy. But my mom and my uncles and my aunts, they don't understand this jargon that we use. And so being able to bring it down so people can understand these, complex terminology and being able to understand what cancer is in general, it's really, really important for us. And so the Cancer Awareness Project is one that I hold dear because, I'm a fitness enthusiast. I like to exercise, I eat right. And so I want to be able to pass that on to the organization as well as the community in which we're serving. I think we have a question that I'll hop on right now. It says, what level in your career do you need to be at to qualify or be considered for the mentorship program? Oh, I think Mamadou already answered. So that program is currently for undergraduate students so that they can get research experience. One of the things that we found, especially within the States, is that when you apply to PhD programs, they want some type of research experience. And so that can be an excuse for programs to deny participants or applicants. And so being able to eliminate that barrier and give our students who are underrepresented within this space an opportunity to gain this training so that that's not an issue when they go to apply is really, really important for the mentorship program.
Absolutely. And to that, I don't know whether whoever's asking the question is looking for a mentor. If you are, we have connections, we will always do our best to help out anybody who reaches out to us. So whether we can connect you to somebody that can help you out if you are, not at undergraduate level, or if you're at PhD or postdoc or beyond, we will always do our best to help the community that we serve.
Exactly. And so now we want to kind of hop into, what we've been doing, what's been going on. We like to call this unexpected wins, because as we're doing the work, we really don't focus on the people who are looking at us. We just do the work so we can get it done and help our community. And so we have a lot of eyes on us, and I think they're really, really great people who want to help. And so speaking on that barrier for undergraduate students when they're applying to PhD programs, that barrier of having a research experience, especially if they're at schools who doesn't have a lot of resources for those type of opportunities. That too can be said about postdoctoral fellows. When we transition, or when whoever, not me, because I'm in the industry, don't plan to go back to academia, but when academics transfer from a postdoctoral work into an academic position, a lot of weight is being pushed on whether they're able to get grants, whether they're able to get funding. And so we're able to partner with the Emerald Foundation and secure 3 postdoctoral awards for the transition of postdoctoral fellows into academia if they so choose. I'll kind of let Sigourney talk about how much that is, because I think it's a substantial amount. And when we learned about it, we were shocked. We're still shocked. We're hoping that this continues, because this eliminates that barrier of getting into an academic position. And it's also increasing representation within cancer research at these academic centers.
Yeah, so it was an incredible opportunity to be able to just hand out money that doesn't belong to you for the furtherment of Black cancer researchers. So we had this incredible opportunity, as Henry's mentioned, for these postdoctoral awards. So what we actually managed to give out was these 3 awards that were $75,000 a year for a 3-year award, and actually that was up to $100,000 a year if they transitioned into a tenure track position, which actually we know that one of our postdocs who had won the award in October of 2021 will actually be transitioning into a tenure track position, which is incredible. So she will go from being Dr. Queen to Professor Queen, and we are incredibly proud of her and the work that she's doing. But alongside that, we were also able to just honor researchers that have been in that space for a while and have been providing that visibility and doing that work in a space that we are just entering into. So we had this brilliant opportunity to create this Distinguished Investigator Award. So that was actually $100,000 a year for 3 years. I was actually awarded to Dr. Paula Hammond, who is at the Koch Institute at MIT. And she does incredible work around developing nanomedicines, and has actually really recently been appointed to the White House Science Council for her work and just the impact that she has. So that's really been a brilliant part of what we've been able to do, just in terms of furthering access and just decreasing barriers when it comes to being a Black cancer researcher, not only from undergraduate space, but also beyond that, and really making sure that, as the program mentions, that we are really increasing the pipeline in as many ways as we can.
Exactly. And one of the things, me and Sigourney have been talking, for the last 31 minutes or so, but we wanted to kind of get some input and some insight from people who are actually in the organization working with us, who are like doing some amazing work in the background. And so I always want to make sure I shine the light on these people, because like I said, me and Sigourney are the face, but it's tons of people who are doing this work behind us, who we would probably be lost and, stressed out if they weren't here. And so I'd like to call on Christopher Bourne, to kind of give his insights about, his 2 years within Black in Cancer, or almost 2 years, and what it's been like for him being a graduate student doing this, as well as what he's learned over the past several months.
Hey everyone, thanks Henry and Sigs for giving me an opportunity to just discuss what we've been up to. If I'm not mistaken, I think myself and El Shaddai White are the only people that were on the Black in Cancer Week organizing committee who are still on the board today. So we kind of got to see the entire trajectory of Black in Cancer. And actually both of us, we're both directors of sponsorship and partnerships. And that really allows us to play a role in a lot of different things within the organization. So for example, we just talked about these awards that we gave out with the Emerald Foundation. And basically the way that came about was actually a cold email from the vice president at Emerald Foundation, James Mahaffey, to me, saying, and he's in New York City, I'm in New York City, and he said, I'd be interested to just talk to you about Black in Cancer. And when I went and met with him, it was a rainy day and we got some coffee, and he said, okay, I want to do a single postdoc award for one postdoc, this coming year. And I said, this is crazy. This is amazing. Let's do it. And I don't know how he just worked his magic, but that one award turned into 4 awards. And we're also going to be offering another one this year for the next coming year. So it really just goes to show that, allies do have a role in this, and that they can use their privileges and powers to help Black people. Actually, what he told me was that the Emerald Foundation hadn't supported very many, if any, Black scientists in his tenure there previously, and he wanted to change that. And so just a simple email like that, led to actually over $1 million in research support going directly to Black, cancer researchers. So that's been amazing. And then the other thing I've had the opportunity to work on is helping the mentorship team with that program, and basically using the partnerships aspect of my role to reach out to all different institutions about their summer programs and try and understand whether we can get our students to participate in their paid summer programs and get that research experience. And so I have to give a shout out to Fred Hutch Cancer Center. They actually went ahead and raised a lot of money to support our students. MIT, the Koch Institute, they are going to be supporting 1 or 2 students this year as well. The MSK summer research programs as well. These are all, I think I muted myself. Yeah, so these are all institutions that are willing to support our students. And then on the UK side, I haven't really worked as much with anything on the UK side, but I know Cancer Research UK is supporting those students. So it's just been amazing to make these connections, to really be action oriented in getting Black scientists, Black undergraduates, but really also just every single level, of the pipeline or pathway, they say, just support. We are a community. We like to do talks and discussions, but I think action and funds, especially as a director of sponsorship, is something that's very, very important. And what I would say is the story of Black in Cancer has been exponential growth, but with basically the same amount of people doing the work. We've had some people leave, we had some new people join, and I think what we need is the hands to match the growth of the actual work, and putting the boots on the ground. So again, thanks everybody for joining.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. That was great. As you can see, Chris is an OG, so he's been here since the beginning. And so we would be lost without him. So we really appreciate him doing his work while being a PhD student. That's not a feat that should not go unnoticed. But one of the things now we want to kind of focus on while we have about 25 minutes left is talk about where we're going next, right? So number one, we're going to continue what we're doing. We aim high, but sometimes we don't know what to expect. And so all these curveballs come in and we're able to navigate that tremendously with a great team. And so one of the things from a cancer awareness project standpoint is we want to create fact sheets. Most times, you can go to the CDC and get fact sheets on different types of cancer. But we want to break it down, like I said, breaking down that science so that our family members can understand and have resources where they can call to ask questions. We want to have qualified professionals who they can reach out to ask questions about breast cancer or prostate, what have you, but making it more, accessible and understandable to our community. There's actually a question. I want to kind of hop on these before I, keep talking and get out of my view. This person says, I'm an undergrad student in France in molecular biology and genetics. Is it hard to get accepted in a PhD program in the US? I'm getting my master's in France. I'm not sure about that question, but do we have anybody on the call who's an international student who have done their PhD in the States? No, I don't want to pause too long. But Melissa, actually what we'll do, which is the great thing about our network, is we have tons of people who are international students in the States. And so we'll be able to connect you with an international student who's doing their PhD at a school in the US so that you can get the actual information that you need. And so I kind of want to put a plug in for what's coming up next at the end of the month. I'll leave the big announcement for Sigourney at the end. But as we all know, it's Black History Month in the United States. In the UK, I think it's in October, I believe, or November.
Yeah. October is a cancer week.
Yeah, I'm learning. And so at the end of the month, what we want to do is highlight cancer research that's being done at historical Black colleges and universities. In the United States, that's a thing. In the UK, I believe that is not a thing, where there are schools that were created specifically for Black people to further their education. For reasons that we won't go into on this call. But if you do join us on February 25th, we'll get into the history of Black colleges within the States and the history of programs, specifically cancer programs at historical Black colleges and universities, and the amazing work that's been done and that's coming out of these labs. I myself got my PhD from Tuskegee University, a historical Black college university in rural Alabama. I think we have some people who have done their PhD at Morehouse and at Clark and at Howard, but we've all went on to do amazing things. And so what we found is that most times we're kind of under the radar. We hear about the Princetons and the Yales and the Harvards and the Stanfords, but we rarely hear about people who are doing the work at our HBCUs. And so what we want to do is shine the light on cancer labs at these institutions and shine the light on these PhD programs that are offering amazing stipends and amazing programs so that you can complete your PhD and go on to do great things. And so that's one of the things we wanted to highlight during Black History Month, because we feel like that's important. And not only during Black History Month, this conversation is going to be going on throughout for the entirety of Black in Cancer, because that's what we do. We highlight Black excellence within the field, and that is being done at our historical Black colleges and universities. I think the next thing I want to talk about is the Black Family Cancer Awareness Week. That's also in June or July. So be on the lookout for our initiative for that. And so I'll let Sigourney kind of talk about our really, really exciting news that we have coming up at the end of the year.
Sure. So I have been so excited to share this news for so long, and it really is an honor to be able to kind of talk to you guys about it now. So this is hot off the press, brand new information. So we actually have a collaboration between us and Cancer Research UK. to have our first inaugural Black in Cancer in-person conference, which is happening on the 10th and 11th of October in England of this year. Which is the most exciting news. So it will bring together scientists from across the globe to celebrate, to collaborate, and to showcase Black excellence in cancer research and in medicine. So this event is relevant for all academics and scientists across the research pipeline, across all career stages. The point is for us to bring the entire community together, but also for those who are in other spaces, whether that's whether you are an advocate, whether you are a patient, whether you are an ally and are seeing the work that we're doing and want to be involved, this is for you. This is a space for you to learn, where we are centering Black voices. So there will be lots of time throughout the conference to network, for people to talk. There'll be posters, there'll be thought-provoking conversations, all on and outside of the agenda. So we would really love for you to join us. Start thinking about taking your days off work, or when you're going to bank down your cells, and when you can come and be with us and celebrate all of this incredible Black excellence in person.
Yes, and if you can't make it to England for 2023, we are hoping to do one in the States. So, you can always, attend virtually. So I definitely have to work on my accent and not sound so Alabama when I'm over there. But one of the things we wanted to do is kind of open the floor for questions or comments or insights, anything, because we wanted to kind of make it a little bit informal. Because like I said, people see our face, but they really don't know who we are. We're just regular people, regular scientists doing great work. I love my dogs. I think Sigourney bikes to work sometimes. So I don't, we're just regular people. So if you have questions, please feel free to chime in or drop it in the chat. And if there are any questions, that's fine too.
Yeah, we won't force you to stay.
Yeah. So I'm also going to put in a donation plug. We are happily taking donations for World Cancer Day. Because like I said, what we want to do is be able to provide resources for our students, provide resources for our community, that's our family, and provide resources for people who are actually coming in and giving these talks so that we can pay Black people for their time. And so I'll drop the donation link within the chat, but we'll also be tweeting it out throughout the day. So feel free to give $1 or 100 or 10,000. It doesn't matter. Whatever is in your heart.
Whatever you've got, we'll take it.
No, we really appreciate everyone who's able to take time out of your day. I know that it's lunchtime in Central Time and maybe lunchtime in Eastern, and it's the evening over there in the UK. And so we want to take the time to say thank you for coming out and just listening to us and getting to know us. Our next event, like I said, is at the end of the month. So please hop on. It's going to be really, really great. And I'm really, really excited because, as an HBCU graduate myself, I think it's important to talk about the great work that's been done at our Black schools in the States. So if there are no more questions,
there is a quick question in the chat.
Become more involved, i.e. being a mentor. Perfect. So we'll reach out to you. I got your name. I know exactly who you are personally. So I'll text you after this call so that you can help in. And another thing, you don't have to be so formal, like submitting a request to be a mentor. My email and my Twitter is open. So if you need advice or anything, or just feel free to reach out. I think Sigourney will be more than happy as well to just, kind of talk and just share our journeys and our experiences. And if we don't know, we have an amazing network to connect you with other people. So just keep that in mind when you're, moving forward. And so I'll leave you with this, your mentor has a mentor. And so it's never bad to have more than one either.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, exactly. With that, I would like to say Happy World Cancer Day. Continue. Go ahead.
I don't know if this was mentioned, but through our fiscal sponsorship with Social Good Fund, did you mention that we got the fiscal sponsorship?
I did not, but I just put the thing in the chat. Whenever you donate, it's tax deductible, so you'll be able to get your tax form and put that on your taxes for the next year because it's 2021, but 2022. But the link is in the the chat. We'll also tweet it out throughout the day. But like I said, happy World Cancer Day. Continue doing the great work that you're doing. If you're in lab, wrap it up. It's Friday. If you're at home, tweet out a cancer fact. But all the work that you're doing is extremely important, and we're excited for you, excited for your future, and let us know if we can help in any way that we can.
Absolutely. Yes, again, just reiterating what Henry said, a huge thank you for you guys for just being here, for listening to our story, for just being so invested in what we're doing and how we can move forward together to impact the community. One thing that I did want to mention is we are always in need of more hands on deck. So if you can help for an event, or you have an idea, or whatever that looks like, whether you want to be on the periphery or right in the center and be on the board and be doing all of the groundwork with us, we would love that. We are flexible. Henry has a full-time job. I am doing my PhD. We know that times get tough and people need to take a pause and this, that, and the other. So you have that flexibility with us. We totally understand. But we would love more of you to be on board, on the ground with us, building the network and making use of the network that we have. There's a very special kind of connection that we have as a board, but even beyond that we can connect with other people because we're right in the midst of it. So if there's anything that we can do to help each other out, whether that's connections, whether that's jobs, whether that's I'm sending you this job on LinkedIn, or I'm connecting you with this recruiter, or whatever that might be, we get lots of opportunities that come through our inbox, more than we're able to share. So if you want to come on board, you want to join us, you want to make the most of the opportunities, boost your CV. We know that in a few years, having a directorship of Black in Cancer on your CV will walk you in many doors, we're convinced. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Come join us, come be a part of the family. We'd love you to be a part of it.
Right, and with that, we'll say thank you and have a great day, guys.
Happy World Cancer Day.